The Girl No One Wants, The Untold Story of Lucy Bronze. 1. A name that should not be called. Lucy Bronze was not the name she was given at birth. Her name was Lucinda Maria Santos, the result of a marriage that collapsed on the wedding night. Her mother, a British nurse, accidentally got pregnant by a Portuguese exchange student. When he returned to Lisbon, her mother became the village whore. Lucy grew up amidst the contempt of the neighbors, the nagging of her grandmother, who still kept a wooden ruler to punish the devil's child, and the silent gaze of her mother, who never hugged her even once. That child had no birthday, no Christmas. She only had nights lying under the bed, listening to her mother cry as if someone was strangling her. 2. The first blood spilled from the kitchen. At the age of 7, Lucy spilled a pot of boiling water while washing dishes. Her left wrist was severely burned. Instead of taking her to the hospital, her grandmother poured cold water on her and tied it with a piece of torn cloth. The burn later became a long scar, which was painful every cold season. When she entered the academy, the coach asked what kind of scar it was. Lucy just smiled. I was torn by a match. No one knew that the battle was between her and the stove. 3. Mother died at night, but no one buried her. In the winter when Lucy was 9 years old, her mother took sleeping pills in the bathroom and never woke up. Her grandmother declared that she committed suicide because of karma, then left. Lucy stayed alone with her mother's body for 2 days, because she didn't dare tell anyone. On the day of the burial, there was no pastor. No eulogy. Only Lucy, wearing her mother's old shirt, stood by the grave without a headstone. That night, she sneaked into the village school's soccer field, lay in the middle of the field, and looked up at the sky, counting the stars. She didn't cry. Too many nights she cried. Now, there was only emptiness. 4. Running away. At 11, Lucy ran away from home. No one looked for her. She slept at the bus stop, begging for food from the school cafeteria. She found a pair of soccer shoes in the trash. The heels were torn, the toes were torn. But when she put them on, she found that she could run. And she ran, every day, in the rain, on the grass, through puddles, through life. She had no coach. No one taught her how to dribble, pass, press, or backline. It all came from her animal instincts. If she didn't run, she would be swallowed. 5. Almost killed herself. At 14, after being rejected by a prestigious soccer academy for not having the right credentials, Lucy quietly walked to the docks. She sat watching the waves for 3 hours, clutching a suicide note written on a receipt. Suddenly a boy playing with a ball rolled past her feet. The boy said nothing, just smiled, and kicked the ball back. Lucy kicked it back. For the first time in months, she smiled back. And she understood. Soccer wouldn't save her mother. But it would save her. 6. Academy season, the door to new hell. Getting selected for Sunderland Academy was something Lucy Bronze dreamed of every night. But no one taught her that dreams can turn into nightmares if you open the wrong door. At the age of 15, Lucy was invited to the Sunderland Ladies Youth Academy after many rounds of testing, one of the few places to train women's football at that time. She arrived with 2 sets of clothes, a pair of torn shoes, and the skeptical looks of everyone. No one believed she deserved to be there. No sponsor, no family papers, no one came to the parent-teacher meetings. In the first week, she was assigned to the coldest dormitory, located next to the old toilets. Without a background, who are you? A teammate whispered behind her. If you're a street kid, don't even dream of being on the national team. Isolated. Every time she practiced, Lucy felt like she was playing football in a forest of knives. Every pass she received was a short cut, easy to lose the ball. In every internal match, she was left on the wing, as if she did not exist. A young coach, Mr. K, once defended her, but then he suddenly left without reason. There were rumors that he had seen a male colleague touching Lucy's butt while she was working out at the gym. Lucy did not speak up, because she knew, if she spoke, she would be fired. And like many times before, she chose to remain silent. Silence was the only way to survive. The event that broke the spirit. One winter evening, at the training camp in Durham, Lucy was locked out of her room. When she opened the door, all her belongings, shoes, shirt, notebooks, were drowned in the toilet. On the wall was written in red ink, "This dormitory does not accept unruly orphans." She reported it to the manager. But the answer was, "I don't see any evidence. You should focus on your skills instead of making trouble." The first tantrum. 3 days later, during an intra-team friendly, Lucy kicked the ball into the knee of the person who had torn her book. She was suspended for 3 weeks. But for the first time in her life, she no longer felt like a victim. And for the first time, people began to look at her differently. Not with pity, but with wariness. The only person by her side, the rival's sister. At that time, Emily, the sister of a rival player, happened to see Lucy sitting alone behind the court, folding the pages of a book that was wet. She gave Lucy a cookie and said, "Don't forgive them, but you have to forgive yourself." That sentence followed Lucy for many years. It was the first time a stranger saw her, not as a player, not as a fatherless girl, but as a person. 7. The kiss in the physiotherapy room. I never believed that anyone loved me, until she put her hand on the scar on my left wrist. Lucy, diary entry, age 16. Beginning. Lucy was called up to the national U17 youth team. At 16, she was one of the youngest players, and the only one without anyone to accompany her on the training day. No father, no mother, no representative. She sat silently in the corner, munching on a cold sandwich, while the other teammates laughed and took pictures with their relatives. At her first physical examination, Lucy was found to have a problem with her left wrist. The first person to touch her was not the doctor, but Helen, the new physiotherapist, about 25 years old. Unlike the others, who often spoke vaguely or called her by the wrong name, Helen sat down and said gently, "I won't ask you how you got that scar, but I'll try to make it not hurt anymore." First attention. Helen began to spend more time with Lucy than usual. They met every morning to stretch, every afternoon to check on her soreness. Gradually, Lucy told them about her mother, about being locked out of the house, about her last meal with her mother being a bowl of raw noodles. Helen didn't cry, but after a training session, she left a note under Lucy's backpack. "If you need a place to cry, I have a shoulder to cry on." That night, Lucy cried for the first time in someone's arms. Not because she had been beaten, but because she was loved. The first kiss. One evening, when the U17 team had just won a friendly match, Helen found Lucy sitting alone in the recovery room. She was shivering, not because of the cold, but because a teammate had just teased her. "You're stupid if you think anyone really loves you." Helen sat down next to her, not asking anything, just holding Lucy's hand, pressing it to her cheek. And then, in the dim light of the hallway lamp, they kissed. It wasn't a kiss of desire. It was a kiss of wounds finding each other like two broken pieces of pottery, imperfect, but fitting. Caught. 3 days later, another player accidentally saw them walking out of the treatment room together. Rumors spread throughout the training camp. Helen was called up to the federation, and Lucy was separated from the group. No one spoke. Helen chose to withdraw from the team that night, to protect Lucy from being banned from playing. Before leaving, she left Lucy a handwritten note. "You don't have to love me. Just remember, someone once saw you as a person, not a wound that could play football." Lucy collapsed and stood up. She didn't eat for 3 days. Didn't play. But then, one cold, misty morning, she went down to the field, alone, and started kicking at an empty goal. No one called her out. No one practiced with her. But from then on, she learned to play football without anyone's support. And from then on, love was no longer something easy to believe in. 8. Not drugs, but hurt. There are matches that do not take place on the pitch, but in the mind, where there are no spectators, only tears. Lucy Bronze, from her unsent suicide note. Premise. At the age of 19, Lucy was first called up to the senior national team. In the eyes of the media, she was a silent phenomenon. A girl without scandals, without an agent, without a prestigious background. But that silence was a thorn in the eyes of many people. On the team, Lucy still slept alone. She did not belong to the famous player family group, did not follow extreme feminism, did not socialize. She just came, practiced, played and went home. But no one knew that behind that cold look, she was taking high doses of antidepressants every night, a drug prescribed by a psychologist, without a medical certificate submitted to the federation. Incident. Before the Euro qualifiers, the team was asked to take random doping tests. The result: Lucy's sample tested positive for fluoxetine hydrochloride, an active ingredient that is often placed in the monitoring group if not declared in advance. She did not deny it. She did not explain. She did not appear in the press. The media attacked. The press headlined, "Lucy Bronze, a star born from scandal?" The mystery of the steel defender, who secretly used banned substances for psychological treatment. She was suspended for 6 months. Brands terminated contracts. Teammates avoided her. Someone sent a private message. Are you really addicted to drugs? I don't think you're that type. Actually, it was just because of a medical form that had not been submitted yet. Lucy had asked the coach for 2 days off to complete the drug confirmation from the doctor. But that email was never sent, because the team's assistant at that time was replaced the next day. She was trapped, not because of ambition, but because silence had become an instinct. The suicide note. After 4 months of not playing, Lucy wrote a letter. Not to anyone, just left it on the table, where the morning sunlight shone. I am tired, Mom. I didn't lose in football. I lost in people's hearts. I used to think that silence would keep me safe. But it turns out, it was the most sophisticated trap. If I don't wake up tomorrow morning, please don't cry. Because I died when I was 7 years old, when I couldn't save you. The person who saved her, Emily, the girl who gave her the cake. Unexpectedly, Emily, now a sports reporter, appeared at Lucy's door. She brought with her an old recording from Helen, her former assistant. In it was the following. Lucy is not weak, she just learned to live as someone who is not allowed to fall. But that doesn't mean she doesn't hurt. Emily writes a full investigation, clearing Lucy's name. The article goes viral, fans return, the federation apologizes, but Lucy doesn't return to the team. The end. Lucy Bronze lives in the countryside, running a small football academy for undocumented children. She doesn't give interviews. She doesn't appear at the World Cup. She doesn't renew her contract with any club. She writes just one line on the academy wall. No one is born invisible. But if you are, let football be the place where you can be seen.